Demons.
Don't touch that dial now, we're just getting started.
I don't really like horror media. Movies, games, books, you name it. Anything that deals in that feeling of fear, that sinking dread at the pit of my stomach. I hate that feeling. Every time I become anxious at what could be hiding in the dark, of a stalking predator waiting to attack when I'm not looking. Whether it be ghosts, ghouls, or monsters, I can't shake it. But above all, I'm terrified of demons. They keep me up in the dead of night.
What was that?
It's nothing. Just the wind, I think.
Okay then, back to what I was saying. I'm surprised you agreed to meet tonight, Jonathan. It is Halloween after all. I figured you would have had plans.
I do actually, but not for another hour, which gives us some time. Plus, I wanted to ask you about something.
What was it? Is it about Shadow again?
Not this time, but it can wait till the end. Anyway, how should we start today?
Well, in the spirit of the season, I have a question for you. What is something that frightens you?
Frightens me? I don't know. Scary movies, I guess?
What kind of scary movie? Like stuff with teenagers in the woods, Freddy Krueger, serial killers with pickaxes?
All of them. I'm not gonna lie. I can't stand the stuff. But if I had to be specific, I'd say things with like, I don't know, demons or devils or whatever.
Is that so?
Yeah, it must be a religious thing. But yeah, live action stuff with demons, I can't explain it. It's just really, it's really unsettling.
Fascinating. Wait, only in live action? What about anime or manga? Does it scare you in those too?
Anime or manga? No, not really. Like demons and stuff like that do show up in some of the stuff I watch, but it's never like scary. And I would say more often than not, they end up being the best part of the story.
Ooh, would that be considered a hot take?
Far from. You ever hear of like the inner demon trope?
Not that I'm aware.
It's a pretty popular narrative device in a lot of the stuff I read. And you see it in movies, TV shows, outside of just anime and manga too. So yeah, you see it all the time.
Well, quite the wealth of knowledge you are. If it's no bother, I'd like to hear more about this demon trope and what it means to you.
Okay. Alright, let's run through the basics here. What we're dealing with is a trope as old as storytelling itself. The inner demon trope, as it's commonly called, has taken on countless forms across narrative media. At its core, the trope describes a kind of dark entity, something evil, primal, or destructive, locked in conflict with the humanity of its host. Sometimes it's a manifestation of negative emotion. Sometimes it's a sort of energy feeding off the host's worst impulses. And sometimes it's a fully realized entity, a parasite living under the skin. This force also needs to be somewhat conscious, or we're just discussing negative emotions in general. Now, it is called inner demon, and all of the examples I'll focus on are literally demonic in nature. But in practice, not all of them are. Think Jekyll and Hyde, Tyler Durden, The Void, stories where the monster isn't necessarily hellish, but a force designed to be a darker version of the self. I think that's what makes this trope so fascinating and so important to understand. It's one of the most common narrative devices out there, but its potential application can go far deeper than simply giving a character a cool transformation or a hurdle to overcome. The inner demon is a mirror, one that forces both the character and us, the audience, to confront the worst parts of who we are and maybe learn how to make peace with them. But we'll get to all that. And a quick warning, there will be some spoilers for a few pretty popular series if you're an anime-only viewer, so fair warning.
No worries. I mean, I did ask you to tell me. I'm prepared for spoilers.
Cool. Good to know. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. One of the most important threads running through Soul Eater is the ongoing battle between courage and madness. Courage is the force that pushes back against fear, the strength that allows the DWMA to protect the world from those who would fall into darkness and become Kishin. Madness, on the other hand, is the corrupting pull of fear itself. It's what drives people to consume souls, to abandon reason in exchange for power. In simple terms, it's not unlike the Force in Star Wars, two opposing energies that define the moral and spiritual framework of the world, the light and the dark. This push and pull between courage and madness is woven into nearly every major character in Soul Eater. On two opposite ends of the spectrum, you have characters like Ashura and Maka, one who has completely given in to madness and isolation, while the other stands as a symbol of courage and connection. In that spectrum falls other characters within the series that represent different aspects of that push and pull. But at the very center is Soul Evans and the Little Demon. Soul Eater Evans is a character defined by his struggle with his own internal darkness. He's afraid that darkness will make him an outcast, so he chooses to live on the margins, where it's safe, where he can't be consumed by his own madness and posture as the coolest, chillest guy in the room. But that illusion of safety is shattered when his body is invaded by the black blood, a mysterious substance that amplifies madness while granting immense power. And from that corruption, something is born. The Little Demon. One creepy looking fucker, isn't he? The Little Demon, sometimes called the Little Ogre depending on the translation, is the physical manifestation of the black blood within Soul. He represents the pull towards madness that lingers deep inside him, a tempter whispering that all the strength Soul could ever need is already within, if only he could surrender to it. When Soul gives in, he is rewarded with the strength he desires, but at the cost of a piece of himself he may not be able to reclaim. What's particularly fascinating is how the two versions of Soul Eater, the anime and the manga, frame this conflict differently. In the anime, the Little Demon functions as a traditional antagonist, the textbook inner demon, urging Soul to give in till he has enough power to consume Soul completely. In the manga, the dynamic is far more nuanced. The demon isn't just a manipulative voice, he's almost a guide. Twisted and unsettling, but ultimately there to aid Soul with a bit of madness he holds. When Soul comes close to being overwhelmed by that madness, it's the demon who forces him to face his own insecurity, to confront the fear he has of himself, afraid of not living up to the greatness of his brother, of being rejected by the people he cares about. Even the demon's large, monstrous form is revealed to be a manifestation of Soul's anxiety, projected outward through the black blood. And this leads us to the lesson at the heart of it all: coexistence. To move forward, Soul has to accept the part of himself he's most afraid of, that sharing his music and letting loose to help his Meister along her way is worth it. In this context, the inner demon isn't an enemy to be washed away, but something to be understood and assimilated. Okay, any questions so far?
None for now. I think I'm starting to see what you mean about the demons in anime not being so scary. The little demon was weird looking, but he ended up not being so bad in the end. Maybe there's good to be found in them after all.
Yeah, sure. Let's see how far that holds up with the next. I don't think you'll find a better modern example of the inner demon trope than what you'll see in Jujutsu Kaisen. The relationship between Yuji Itadori and Ryomen Sukuna will go down as one of the most iconic pairings in contemporary anime. Part of the reason the inner demon trope has become such a talking point in shonen circles today is because of Sukuna. But honestly, I think most of the credit belongs to Yuji, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Great applications of the inner demon trope question a core idea or conviction of the character they inhabit, testing and at times breaking the worldview the host character held dear. In Yuji's case, that test begins the moment he becomes the vessel for Sukuna, the ancient human turned curse turned so-called king of curses, who, according to some new manga chapters, might even be an alien, but we don't talk about that. From the very beginning, Yuji and Sukuna exist in total opposition. Their conflict isn't just personal, it's philosophical. It's a clash built on the foundation of Jujutsu Kaisen's world itself. Must one conquer to truly exist, or is existence itself enough? And that question defines everyone in this story. Gojo, Geto, Yuta, Maki. It's a world where power demands sacrifice, and the more human you remain, the more fragile you become. In most stories with a demon as spiteful and malicious as Sukuna, we'd expect the protagonist to reach through the noise, to find common ground, to redeem the darkness. But Jujutsu Kaisen rejects that idea entirely. Sukuna can't be reasoned with. He can't be swayed or softened. No matter how hard Yuji tries, there is no bridge that can connect them. Sukuna is driven purely by his own whims, dedicated to destruction, to self-interest, and to making Yuji's life a living nightmare. And yet, in that suffering, Yuji finds clarity. Every death, every failure, every fleeting connection brings him closer to understanding what it means to live in this world. His final conversation with Sukuna captures that perfectly, as they walk through Yuji's most cherished memories as a child. The parting words from his grandfather that once seemed like a curse is shown to actually have been a blessing of protection. It was never about how you die. It was always about how you live, and whether you find peace before the end. It's one last attempt at connection, met only with Sukuna's cold, murderous stare. In that moment, the other path of the inner demon trope opens. Coexistence is one path, but destruction is another. Sometimes the only way to conquer the demon is to destroy everything it represents and stand at last as yourself.
Such a tragic tale. That Sukuna fellow is quite the deviant.
Sure was. We might never see another one like him again. But I digress. Coexistence or destruction. Those are the two main paths when dealing with the inner demon trope. And depending on how you frame it, those paths can take all kinds of shapes. That's what makes the trope so fascinating. It's simple, almost deceptively so. We've seen it used countless times across literature, film, and anime. But lately I feel like we're beginning to see how far it can go when placed in the right creative hands.
Okay, what would be a recent example that you would consider groundbreaking?
Oh, that's easy. This might be a hot take, but I think part 1 of Chainsaw Man is a perfect story. It has so much to say and executes it all with razor-sharp precision. It's gritty, it's hilarious, it's profound, it's haunting. And it ends with the kind of catharsis that is becoming increasingly rare. At the heart of everything that happens in the story lies a single promise between two broken friends in a broken world, Denji and Pochita. Now, hold on, stop, away from the keyboard. I know what you're thinking. Just walk with me, my friend, for a second. On paper, this is an inner demon situation. We have a possession, like with Sukuna, a literal devil merging with its host, granting him the power to become a literal devil. We even get the occasional back and forth between the two consciousness. But here's where things admittedly get interesting. Pochita doesn't behave like Sukuna, or the Little Devil, or White from Bleach, or even the Fifth Degree from Shogun. These all exist in tension with their host, either struggling for control or guiding them through the shadows. But not Pochita. From the very beginning, Pochita gave up his body, his life, to give Denji a chance to live. His only request, show me your dreams. It is the bedrock that informs all of Denji's actions moving forward, allowing him to behave more selfishly than he would have in the past. Pochita isn't a demon that challenges Denji's worldview. He's the one that makes that worldview possible. By creating the contract, he gives Denji permission to live, to eat, to love, to experience a life beyond the cold, grinding survival of his childhood. That life leads Denji down a winding path of discovery. What does it mean to live a good life? Is it lusting after the woman of your dreams, falling in love with a girl at a coffee shop, seeking thrills in combat, watching movies, being part of a family, family, getting drunk, being praised for your work. Each pursuit has brought him great joy and great pain. Denji's answer remains unclear to all of those questions, but for Pochita, letting Denji search for that answer was enough. All to return a very simple favor, a hug that was granted to a monster who had known only battle and destruction his entire existence. Chainsaw Man is complex in its messaging, layered with subtext, which is what makes it so rewarding to unpack. I may not fully grasp everything Fujimoto wanted to say, but I do know this. In most stories featuring half-demon characters, Ren Okumura from Blue Exorcist, Alma from Goku Rakugai, Inuyasha from Inuyasha, the dilemma centers on balancing two halves of the self, the human and the demon. But Chainsaw Man isn't a story about discrimination and balancing two lives. The power of the Chainsaw Devil is something sought after. His demon heart makes him special to many, but not the human half. To his enemies, Denji is a vessel for the Chainsaw Devil, but Pochita knew better. Their friendship turned the devil of all devils into a caring creature willing to sacrifice his heart to save his friend. And Pochita knew that if Denji, the human, could do that for him, by being who he is, he can do the same for others, even if Denji himself doesn't know it yet. This isn't about coexistence or destruction. It's about acceptance, finding the best in who you are, your flaws, your desires, your pain, because at the heart of Denji and Pochita as one being is the same jagged soul.
That was interesting, and Pochita is very cute, unlike those two previous freaks and ghouls.
Sure, yeah, but I think you get the picture. Totally cool trope with tons of application potential. I'm curious what future shonen mangaka will come up with, but only time will tell. Plus, who knows how many other examples are out there that I haven't seen yet.
Very true. But so far, it sounds like your favorite would be in Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, right. It's cool, but nowhere near my favorite.
Is that so? Then it must be Jujutsu Kaisen or Soul Eater.
Nope and no.
Then what is it?
Isn't it obvious? The curse of being the one to popularize something is that over time, people start to treat you like you're old news. You've seen it happen with Dragon Ball, and now, more than 10 years since the end of Naruto, I can kind of see it happening again. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's bias, maybe it's something else entirely. But to me, Naruto remains one of the greatest series ever written. There are countless reasons why, but one of the best reasons is the story at its center, the tale of the boy and the fox. As we've discussed, the purpose of the inner demon trope is to bring the darkest parts of ourselves into the light, to give them a form we can see and confront. For Soul, the little demon embodied his insecurities. For Yuji, Sukuna represented what's lost when we abandon our humanity. But for Naruto, Kurama was everything. Every ounce of pain, loneliness, and hardship Naruto faced could be traced back to the Nine Tails. He grew up an outcast, never knowing his parents, because of the monster sealed inside of him. And while the Nine Tails' power saved his life in moments of desperation, it also endangered the people he cared for most. For years, the Nine-Tailed was nothing but a living storm of hatred, feeding off Naruto's anger, waiting for the moment he could consume him completely. Or at least, that's how it seemed. But what about from Kurama's perspective? A creature once loved turned into a weapon, used over and over again, stripped of a name and reduced to a number. It's no wonder the strongest of the tailed beasts turned its hatred back on the world that hated it first. And the circumstances that caused Naruto and Kurama to be bound were neither of their faults, just pawns in someone else's game. And from there, their relationship grew even more strained until... Chapter 493 is a turning point, and its framing is everything. The dark version of Naruto that he faces isn't Kurama. It's the manifestation of his own anger, hatred, and resentment, his true inner demon. Defeating it isn't about conquering Kurama, but confronting the pain within himself. Those feelings of isolation and hate he's held inside for the people who treated him differently, and the feelings of failure he has for not being able to do the things he wants to achieve. Those are his pain, his anxieties, not Kurama manifested. This is the first real hint that Kurama isn't the pure antagonist we were led to believe, because no one being, no matter how powerful, can carry the full weight of someone's darkness. peace, as Naruto learns, doesn't come from silencing the demon forever. It comes from within, past the shackles that bind Kurama to your very soul, from understanding that even the parts of you that are shaped by pain deserve compassion. Through his growth and connection to others, Naruto learned to forgive not just Kurama but himself, and with the help of his mother, he finds the conviction to someday face all of that pain within Kurama and the world head on. And that day arrives in a flash of warm, golden light. Most people look at Kurama's speech as the culmination of the inner demon arc, the moment everything comes full circle. And it is powerful. It's a speech about what makes Naruto special, how showing up for yourself in your darkest moments is what makes others want to do the same, how the smallest choices can make the biggest difference. But for me, the true completion of the arc comes a bit later, and is something you can only find in the anime. Naruto completely drained during his fight with Sasuke, Kurama worried, trying to offer a strategy, a way out, and before he could finish, Naruto simply smiles and extends his fist. A gesture of pure trust. After everything they've been through, after all the hatred, pain, and misunderstanding, there's no distance between them. No more monsters, just a boy and a fox who trust each other with their lives. I've said this before, but anime and manga have taught me a lot of things that I still carry with me today. Lessons about standing up for my convictions in a world that often tries to pull out the darkest parts of us. About finding courage and self-belief when it seems impossible. About learning to forgive yourself when you stumble and finding peace in who you are. I'm grateful for the truths that can be found in all forms of storytelling, and the inner demon trope is no different, because through it, we're reminded that the hardest battles we'll ever face isn't some external enemy, but it's the one that happens inside. It's a fight that can be terrifying, one that might take everything from you before it gives anything back. But where there is darkness, there is always light, and if you haven't found that light yet, you will, one day.
How moving. Thank you for sharing such insightful information about the trope. I feel thoroughly informed.
Yeah, cool. Glad I could go through it all, but it is getting late and I do have to go soon, so I want to ask my question before we get to the end of the session.
Why, of course. Tell me about the dream you've been having. The one with the monster, right?
That's the one, and it's been kind of like a reoccurring dream, and I don't really know what it's supposed to... Wait, I'm sorry, I don't remember telling you about the dream. How did you know it had a monster in it?
Are you certain? I believe you have told me at least once.
No, I didn't. I specifically wanted to wait to tell you tonight, because I've been having the dream and I wasn't sure if I was being crazy or whatever. So I don't know how you knew. And why does your voice sound different?
Well, I think that's all the time we have left for tonight. Enjoy your Halloween, Jonathan.
Wait, hold on. Krista? I've got this weird feeling. I think this might be the end.